Hey guys, this is Adrian Wojnarowski of ESPN, and you're listening to the ML Sports Platter.
The ML Sports Platter back with you all over the major platforms. Be sure to download, subscribe, leave feedback, and a 5-star review. You know where to go. Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, Deezer, Google, and hit me on Twitter at Mike L. Sports. We're brought to you by Liverpool Physical Therapy, Bryant and Stratton College, Prestwick Golf, and our good buddy Dave Choate. Go ahead and visit DaveChoateArtwork.com. He's got some awesome prints from the tennis world and Nadal, Djokovic, and Federer to baseball. Very timely things. He made a great Patrick Ewing one during the madness of March. So make sure that you do indeed go visit him, DaveChoateArtwork.com, the official artist and painter of the ML Sports Platter and Pinstripe Passion. Well, it was a hell of a weekend for Hideki Matsuyama, winning the Masters golf tournament. And it was not just a sensational time and really, win for him. It went beyond that. It's a global deal. It's a big time, and I'm going to break this down after I bring in Brian Jacobs. But it goes beyond just the guy winning. Great for his resume. This is a global deal. This is a Japanese. This is an impactful thing in Japan, and I think Japanese golf fans across. And they've been obsessed with golf forever. I mean, that, in the Far East, I mean, they've loved golf for 50, 60 years. And this is going to be a deep one. This is going to be a major deal here. When you look at some of the success that Japanese stars have had, in sports recently, and now he adds to it. It's a pretty big deal, You got Naomi Osaka, who's been number one, by the Women's Tennis Association. She's been ranked number one for a long time, and the first Asian to hold the top ranking in singles. I mean, she's won 4 Grand Slam championships. So you've got that. She was born in Japan, the Japanese heritage, and she's very, very proud of it. And you've got. You have now Matsuyama doing his thing at the Masters. And also, let us not forget, the 2021 Augusta National Women's Amateur won in a playoff was Tsubasa Kajitani. I hope I pronounced that right. Tsubasa Kajitani. So between Kajitani, winning that, and Osaka being the best player in the world in women's tennis, and now Hideki Matsuyama winning, it's just spectacular for Asian sports, for the Far East, for Japanese golf and the like. And I think this is going to have a big impact. This is going to have one of those big monster global impact type things. Remember Y.E. Yang winning over Tiger Woods at the PGA in 2009? I think it could have more of an impact than that. I really do. And Matsuyama's been a great player. I'll break him down, break down his career, break down why it might have been even long overdue, right? Why golf is so hard, all those different things. In just a moment after this quick interview here with our good buddy Brian Jacobs, you can go ahead and follow him on Twitter at Brian Jacobs Golf, PGA Golf Channel Academy lead instructor, a Golf Channel Morning Drive Coach of the Week, Golf Digest Best In-State Callaway Golf Professional Staff. And again, visit him online at brianjacobsgolf.com. Brian, welcome aboard here, buddy. How are you?
Mike, thanks so much. I appreciate being on again.
So, look, we're coming right off of this Masters, and Hideki Matsuyama, I mean, he was unbelievable. Third round, he made terrific shots on the back nine. He went on a tear. I thought he won the golf tournament during the third round, but then in the fourth round, he held on. His short game was spectacular. As you know, at a major, it has to be for the majority of the days. He wins his first major. Japan has its first major winner on the men's circuit. I think this is a big deal. I mean, I think, look, it's a tour it's really deep. It's really, really good. And it's really, really global. And there's nothing more global than winning a major in terms of being a Japanese-born player here, Brian. Don't you think this one's going to have some huge global impact here moving forward?
I do. It reminds me a lot of when Seiri Pop played on the ladies tour a number of years ago. She really began the movement, in Korea for players, international players, and so I think it's great for the game. I mean, it's I think sometimes in America we get a little closed off to, people from overseas winning, American tournaments or American-made tournaments, let's say. And I just think it's great for the game. I love to see the Euros in there, the Latino America, players. And I just think it's great. He has a great story, Matsuyama does. And I think he set the bar pretty high. So I think it'll be great for the game, for kids to aspire to be him, and I think that's awesome. He's going to be a great role model.
And it was just amazing hearing the roars again, at Augusta. I mean, through the TV. Yeah. I've never been there. I've decided that it's currently my number one bucket list that I've got to get to. I probably think that Masters is one, probably Ryder Cup's two. I got to get to a Final Four, a Super Bowl. Different things like that. But I think the Masters at this. I've done the Derby. I've done Army Navy. I've done Frozen Four. I've hit some big ones. I got to do a World Series. But I got the Masters at number one. You've been there a couple of times.
I have been. Yeah.
Okay.
I have
What's
been.
it like? It's got to be crazy amazing. One of those places you show up and you can't pick your jaw up off the floor, off the ground.
Yeah. I mean, the thing I noticed the most, and I'm older, so there's no trash on the ground. I mean, people are so respectful. The pine cones all seem to be in place, if there is a pine cone. You see the members walking around in their jackets, and you revere that. I mean, we have clubs in our area, like the Country Club of Rochester certainly is a club like that, where it's very steeped in tradition, and the membership is, not that any membership wouldn't be proud of their club, but they take responsibility for the golf course. They make sure that the behavior is proper, and they're passing their memberships down to their lineage, that's part of their legacy is to do that. And we had an interesting chat last night. I had to delay. My flight left Rochester for Bay Hill for Orlando at 6:20 a.m. and I got in at midnight. So the part of the group I was traveling with, we talked a lot about the history of golf in Rochester, and they were amazed. They were just like, really? I never knew this, and I never knew that. And I said, oh yeah, people are proud, of their clubs, and they should be. It's a great sign of their legacy. And we need people to take interest in that and be more like they are at Augusta, I think.
There's courses, there's places where you go and you feel different. As a sports fan or as a media member or like yourself working in the golf industry, you feel different when you walk on the grounds at Augusta. You feel different when you walk into the old Yankee Stadium. You feel different at Wrigley. You feel different at Lambeau.
Yeah.
Are there any other places? Yeah, are there any other places that come right to mind where you've been, where that feeling comes in from a golf standpoint? I'm sure Oak Hill, right in the backyard there for you, is in that category.
Yeah, Oak Hill is. I think it's we're a little spoiled in our area because we have so much golf, and so I've played Oak Hill West Indies a number of times. Country Club Rochester, Monroe. I worked at Locust Hill for 6 years, so I got to see the ladies. So I guess I got a little spoiled, but I'm looking out my window right now at Bay Hill. We're right on the property at the lounge or at the lodge, and Oakmont I've been to and played. Tremendous property. Pinehurst, of course. I'm spoiled. I went to Bandon this past year to do a corporate event, and you feel very small when you get on these properties. You get on the ocean at Bandon, and you feel like an ant. When you start looking at the earth and like just the architecture of the facility, and like what did it take, to build this property, and what kind of vision, and Bandon is not close to anywhere. Eugene is 2 hours away. So, it is tucked away, and it is a destination that I would recommend anybody, to go to.
Brian Jacobs with us, of course. BrianJacobsGolf.com, the PGA Golf Channel Academy lead instructor at Golf Channel. Morning Drive Coach of the Week, and you can get him on Twitter at Brian Jacobs Golf. Remember, the Golf Digest best in-state Callaway golf professional staff. And Brian, I just wanted to spend the last part of the interview here, just a couple of quickies with you. Tell my listeners what it's just been like to have golf back. On the upper Northeast, and we finally are getting. It's going to be a rainy week where I am. Luckily, you're out of here, but it's a rainy week. But we had a couple of good days over the weekend, right? Yeah. We've had some weather kind of arrive early. I'm glad because the economy, I think it needs it. The golf courses need it from the corona. But just having golf back and what you're working on with some of your folks who are learning from you.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I think first of all, golf is healthy again. I haven't seen a surge like this in golf. As far as rounds played and lessons taken, and since Tiger.
A lot of activity, right? Yeah.
Tons of it.
Yeah.
And I was very fortunate to be with Nike at the time Tiger was at the height of his career and learning from his coach. So,
by the way, Brian, have you read Shoe Dog yet?
I have not.
Okay,
no.
I'm about 15 pages away from the finish. I'll send it to you when I'm done.
Oh my gosh, that would be great.
It is so good.
Yeah, it's an interesting model, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is.
So the facility that I'm at is an upscale public, and then I'm an independent there. Our content has really changed for Golf Channel, so we no longer are in Orlando. They moved the content area to Connecticut, so we're kind of still waiting to see. There's a lot of integration, people we pivoted with virtual. So I actually have a digital academy. I partner with a company called Iconic Golf, and I teach a lot of my NFL players and people all over the country digitally. So content, notes, and then up here I blend the programs. So I'm not a one and done guy. I'm like the long term 3 to 5 year rebuilds, getting people ready for USAM, PGA Tour, LPGA Tour, Korn Ferry. So we've been very blessed. I mean, golf is unbelievable in our area. I felt bad kind of leaving, but most of my students come on these trips. So I have 23 here. 12 are from my area where I teach them one-on-one, and then the other 11 are my blended students where they're doing digital.
Cool.
So we meet here at Bay Hill, and we play for, I think, 5 days, and then everybody heads home. And it's cool. It's like a checkpoint. So we have a ton of fun. People are starting to travel again. And I was at Bay Hill last year with a group when Corona hit. And so we watched everything closing, like Disney closed around us. And so it's pretty cool. And then doing quite a bit with veterans. I do a lot with PGA Hope, which is Help Our Patriots Everywhere. And did a little special for CBS Sports that's going to air May 15th, right before the PGA Championship. And so no moss is growing on me anywhere. I'm moving all the time, which is I love.
Yeah, that's
it's a
awesome.
Great business to be in.
Yeah, that's great. A lot of recent activity. And then in closing, people can just get you right at the website, right? I mean, this website's so interactive with the email club. You can grab gear. You can check out the programs. That's the place to go for people to be interested here.
Yeah, and if they come in, I always do a new student assessment. So if they're new to the academy, we always assess first because we can't coach what we don't know. And then once we get to that point, I make sure, for me, they have to be a culture fit. They have to be committed to the process, and we move from there. And if they're not, then, we try to get them somewhere where they feel comfortable. But I have all different types of programming, but everything I do is one-on-one, high-end coaching, so it's a high-level relationship. I truthfully only coach about 70 people total because I do a lot of notes with them. We collect a lot of data so that we can, progress them along a line. So many coaches or teachers, they will come out, they'll give them the one-hit lesson, change the grip or whatever it is, and then kind of like the Band-Aid fix for the day, but I'm changing motor patterns and thinking patterns, and so it takes time, right, to change a bad pattern. And so they can catch me right on my website at brianjacobsgolf.com, and if they have questions, they can call me or email me or chat, go through Instagram, Twitter. I'll always respond.
By the way, real quick, can't wait for Bill's season, huh?
Yeah, very exciting.
Bringing the band back together, I like it. I'm glad they're bringing everybody back together and kind of filling in pieces here and there where they need to. I'd like to see this same group, try to give it another couple shots.
Yeah, I think the next 3 years is really going to tell a lot about this group of men, and I know many of them personally, and I want to share that they are a good group of guys, and I've been coaching athletes and staff in that organization since the Aaron Schobel days, and so I've seen the cultures kind of rise and fall, and this is a good group of men. They like each other, they play for each other, they socialize together, and so COVID kind of, did its number on that industry as well. And so, to their credit, they stayed together and worked together as a team. And I wouldn't be surprised if you see a Super Bowl win at one Bills pretty soon.
Well, if they ever win one, I like many others, might not really quite know what to do. Brian Jacobs,
You'll know.
Yeah.
You'll know what to do.
Yeah.
You're going to shout.
Yeah, I'll drop to my knees and cry my eyes out. That'll be the first thing I'll do. I'll tell you that. Brian Jacobs Golf at Brian Jacobs Golf on Twitter. BrianJacobsGolf.com. Brian, thank you so much.
Mike, thank you. It's always a pleasure to be on the show with you and talk.
And I want to go back to the Hideki Matsuyama conversation here for, 10, 15 minutes on my end here on the ML Sports Platter, brought to you by Stanley Law Offices and Bryant and Stratton College, and kind of rope it into some Masters thoughts and all the rest. First of all, the Masters was unbelievable across the board. It always is. You had major contenders. You had guys, storylines galore. Who's going to be is there going to be a first-time major winner? It turned out that we did have Matsuyama winning his first major. You had the Jordan Spieth story, right? He won the Valero the week before and was really, really good, and then took a dive, and then, man, that last Sunday, he was really, really good, and he got a lot of birdies late and finished 7 under. I mean, he was tied for third. Schauffele showed, despite dunking one in late in the drink, here I am. Here's my pedigree. I'm pretty close to ready, right? John Rahm and that story. There are a lot of guys still who don't have a major, and that brings me to two quick things. Before the Matsuyama part of it is Jordan Spieth. Jordan Spieth is 27 years old. Jordan Spieth has multiple major championships, and people were trying to write him off because he had well over 1,000 days of a slump. Folks, this is golf. Do you remember the dry spell of winning a major that Tiger Woods had, and he's the greatest of all time? You gotta calm down. If a guy's in a slump, that's all it is a slump. He's a big-time player who has multiple majors. He's got the pedigree, and he was just slumping. It happens to everybody at all levels. And, anybody who wrote Jordan Spieth off is absolutely... they're just clueless. And as far as Matsuyama is concerned, a lot of people, including me, they've been talking about this guy's game for a really, really long time. He turned professional in 2013, and I brought up Y.E. Yang at the start of the podcast, winning the PGA in 2009 over Tiger Woods. Y.E. Yang in playing and his impact created guys like Matsuyama to play more and more and more and compete more and more and more and win and love the game more and respect the game more. One guy to the next to the next to the next. It's like the Ichiro to Hideki Matsui thing, right? It's like Ichiro to the rest of the Japanese baseball players. And now Matsuyama, who's been on tour for about 8 years, he now has 15 professional wins, and one of those is the Masters tournament. He had going into this past weekend at Augusta, he had a top 2, a top 4, a top 5, a top 6 in majors. He's knocked on the door. He's been one of the great iron players on the tour for a while. He won the Asian Amateur Championship in 2010 and 11. He's won 8 times on the Japan Golf Tour. I mean, he's a big-time player, and he was due for, I think, quite a while. And, to be able to win at Augusta now, it's a big thing for him. I mean, he's going to get. I mean, the endorsements are going to be through the roof. The global impact is going to be through the roof. The Japanese impact by itself is going to be through the roof. And it was 8 a.m. or so when he had putted out and won by a stroke. 8 a.m. in Japan when he had won the tournament, and I had read some things on social media and elsewhere in terms of Schauffele even talking in his press conference, and they're probably having some beers and enjoying it now in Japan. They love their golf, they love their baseball, and I think Brian Jacobs hit the nail on the head when he said it's easy for us to kind of just corner our lives into American sports and the NFL and American-born players and all this sort of thing, but golf has never been more global. Yes, Tiger is credited with a lot of that. when he came on the scene, and he was amazing. He became an iconic superstar, a global superstar. But it's also guys like Y.E. Yang. It's guys like Retief Goosen. It's guys like now Matsuyama. It's guys like Louis Oosthuizen. It's guys like Ernie Els. It's guys like decades ago, the Sevi Ballesteroses. It's the Nick Faldos. The game is so global now, and it's been decades of, kind of growing. You look at Irishmen, the Darren Clarks and the Padraig Harringtons, creating into now the Rory McIlroys, right? Like McIlroy, being from Northern Ireland, obviously was following Padraig, following Darren Clark. It was the mix of his heritage and Tiger Woods. Same thing with Japan, Matsuyama, Y.E. Yang, and Tiger Woods. You have your heritage, and then you had Tiger. Tiger put so many people in the game, it isn't even funny. I mean, I know he hasn't won as many majors as Jack Nicklaus, and he won't win as many at this particular point, especially now with the recent injury. But the 82 wins tied with Sam Snead, number one all time, 15 majors, but it goes way past that. Increasing the purses, getting more people to play the game, the influence on black golfers, the global impact, the sponsorship dollars to the tour, not just getting players getting paid more. Where's that money come from? It has to come from somewhere. Advertisements, AT&T and all these different guys now who have Nike on their shirts, and Under Armour becomes a player. I mean, look at all the apparel companies that weren't even a thought until Tiger got into the game. First of all, Nike wasn't. Nike comes in, starts it. Adidas, of course, and FootJoy and some of these, right? But then everything kind of escalates into Puma, and Ping starts doing different things now with their clothing apparel. TaylorMade and I mean, all of them, from equipment to apparel and everything in between. Some of these companies doing both equipment and apparel, right? And so Callaway, a lot of them were already doing equipment and were already doing some gear, but they changed and the dynamic was different, and they started to chase Nike because of Tiger, and signing guys, and then sponsorships growing from, the Home Depots and the AT&Ts and, the finance companies and the Wachovias and the Wells Fargos and all these companies that bought into tournaments, and then the purses go way up, right? So, look at the Deutsche Bank. I mean, all that stuff, Tiger just created that influence. So, I mean, the impact of Tiger in all those spots it's really second to none. And then through Tiger, a lot of more guys play, of course, and some play, at different times and different eras, and I just think one guy to the next, to the next, and the next, you just keep the line moving. Y.E. Yang winning, that started a little bit, and now Matsuyama carrying the torch. Now that's going to take, new shape. Ireland, I mentioned Clark and Padraig. Now Rory is the face of Irish golf, right? So it's just such a great game. It's so deep, it's so good, it's so global. And I'm pumped up. I think this win for Matsuyama was fantastic. And I think him winning, him making those shots on the, that third day, I thought was really where Matsuyama won the tournament. He hung in there. I mean, look, on 15, dunking that ball in, he just absolutely scorched on the par 5. He scorched, I think it was a 4-iron, and just overshot the green. But Schauffele couldn't, he made his own mistake. He couldn't capitalize. And then Matsuyama hung in. And I think there were a couple of other spots. I think on 13, Matsuyama, it looked possibly like, Schauffele was going to get, pin it close and tap in for birdie. Or he was actually putting for eagle. Missed the eagle putt, taps in for birdie. Matsuyama, it looked like maybe was going to get a bogey or a double, going way over, having to pitch across. He hits it down to within a couple of feet and taps in for bird. And so there you have it, where he didn't lose a stroke. It would have probably been a couple stroke swing had it gone the other way. That was a big break for him. I think he started the day with a bogey, but then he rebounded with a birdie. So he hung in there on the last day, there's no doubt. But I think he set himself up for the Masters win in round 3. I thought, I just thought he was, the shots he was making, the back 9 was absolutely absurd, knocking it stiff on so many occasions. He was just fabulous. I mean, he really was. And I just thought that on that back 9, when he was going, I mean, you look at what he did. He birdies 11, he birdies 12, he eagles 15, he birdies 16, he birdies 17. I mean, that, he shot a 30 on the back 9. I mean, he could have easily went and gone in the 20s. In fact, it's mind-boggling how he got all those birdies. The par 5 on 13, he didn't even birdie that hole. And I know that that's kind of helter-skelter with what you can do there. But remarkable performance by Hideki Matsuyama. He was outstanding. The third round, to be able to, shoot a 6 under there on the back was just awesome. 1, 2, I have that right. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. Get that 30, put yourself in position, then just play, really solid golf in the 4th round and winning his first major. And the impact for him is great. The impact for his sponsors is great. The Japanese impact, from a Japanese golf standpoint, it's second to none, no question. And then going even beyond that is the global impact. The Asian golf and everybody getting involved, and him now kind of being a major winner and a guy who's in that circle, in that special circle, a green jacket wearer, a major winner wearer, just fantastic stuff. And he's 29, and he's basically entering the prime of his career. And we'll see what happens. I hope he has staying power. I hope he doesn't disappear. I hope he's not in that Ben Curtis, Mike Weir, Sean McKeel sort of world. I hope he's more along the lines of when guys win that, a Michael Campbell. Even Y.E. Yang kind of disappeared, right? But he did have a short impact in Japanese golf when he won the PGA. But it's a very unique place. And I just hope he has the staying power. I hope he doesn't disappear like some of those guys I mentioned. I hope he's more the Jim Furyk variety, the Retief Goosen variety, guys like that. So just a monumental win for him. Great impact globally. Great impact on the Asian golf market. Terrific stuff by Hideki Matsuyama. Mike Lindsley with you here on the ML Sports Platter. Make sure you follow me on Twitter at MikeLSports. Download, subscribe, leave feedback, and a 5-star review to my podcast all over the major platforms like Spotify, Google, Apple, you name it. Download, subscribe, leave feedback, and a 5-star review. We're part of the Brawl Network, and you can hit me on Instagram as well, Mike L Sports 1979. We're brought to you by Axe Exotic Pets, Western New York OTB, Rosie's Corner, and our good friend Brian Comboy of Mass Mutual New York State. Go with Brian today. Financial future is secured with Brian Comboy of Mass Mutual New York State. He's on Facebook, he's on LinkedIn, and advisors.massmutual.com. We're super happy with our future with Brian Comboy, getting our finances in order. It doesn't matter what it is, retirement, individuals, families, businesses, you name it. He's got the resources, he has the idea to get your financial future in order. Brian Comboy of Mass Mutual New York State, the official financial advisor of the ML Sports Platter. Thanks again to Brian Jacobs. Terrific to talk some golf with him. I'm Mike Lindsley. Thanks for listening to the ML Sports Platter. As I always tell you, enjoy the games.